spoken because when the people speak, democracy breathes.
Journalists need support and security to do their work in a conducive.
خليك هنا في اي راديو انا تكون في جنوب السودان.
Sounds of the week on iRadio.
أسوأ أيوانية دي مكانو عشان ودولار بدني لكن الوزير جايدة كلي نفسه كتوار الرزق عمله ده مع أخوانه الفضل فوق هسه حاليا كلمة يسمره عشان الدولار المافي ده يجيبوا الدول البرع عارفين معناه بتاع الأسوأ أيوانية دي إلا أننا ده يقوم يشيل السلاح يضربوا أيوانية ده كله يأكلوا باللامقابة ولا لام يعطوا وما عارفين ده بترول بقول دولار ثقافة يعني هذا البطل الأيوانات دي الأيوانات دي بترول ثقافة كل تبعكم كويس ما تلساتوا فأنا بقول لبريكاوة الكبيرة دي أنكلي يشيل هلو وتماما عشان الأيوانات ما يتلساتوا نفسه هذا البروج اللي بيجيبوا في الشارع بتاعهم لي يا ده أيوانات بعدين يجيبوا.
Sounds of the week on iRadio, your eye on South Sudan. Live from Juba, on air and online.
This is iRadio News.
Hello, this is iRadio News. First, here are the headlines. The Chief of Defense Forces of the South Sudan People's Defense Forces, General Paul Nang, has issued a sweeping set of directives aimed at reforming the army during Thanksgiving military parade at Bilpa. The UN Human Rights Commission says peace in South Sudan cannot be achieved through words alone, but through accountability, protection of civilians, and reform that prioritize people over power. And the Commissioner of Yei River County says agricultural production in the county has improved this year despite insecurity and poor road networks. These stories and more are coming to you in this news bulletin with me, James Atem. Now the news in detail. The Chief of Defense Forces of the South Sudan People's Defense Forces, General Paul Lang, has issued a sweeping set of directives aimed at reforming the army during a Thanksgiving military parade at Bilpa. In a statement released yesterday by the army spokesperson, Major General Luroy Kong, General Nang ordered all heads of unit to immediately surrender all ghost names so that serving and deserving soldiers who currently lack salaries can be paid. He warned that anyone failing to comply would face severe punishment, including retrospective repayment of embezzled salaries as part of efforts to stamp out endemic corruption in the army. The CDF also banned the sale of military food rations and directed division commanders to ensure timely delivery to the intended beneficiaries. Division coordinators were warned to cease such malpractices. General Paul Nang instructed Assistant Chief of Defense Forces for Administration, Finance and Planning and Personnel, the Chief of Military Intelligence and the Director of Military Police to coordinate and supervise compliance, hold violators accountable. He also reactivated the salary payment committee, reiterated the permanent removal of all checkpoints and ordered the arrest and rearrest of anyone found reestablishing removed checkpoints. The CDF further ordered the immediate implementation of all verdicts passed by the district military court martial as approved by the SSPDF commander-in-chief. General Nang also threatened action against those who have taken arms against the government, specifically naming Nial Deng Nial, who recently quit the SPLM party and formed the South Sudan Salvation Movement. The UN Human Rights Commission says peace in South Sudan cannot be achieved through words alone but through accountability, protection of civilians, and reform that prioritize people over power. Speaking at the UN General Assembly yesterday, the UN Human Rights Commission on South Sudan called for stronger international pressure to end the escalating armed conflict and political crisis in South Sudan. It warned that the worsening situation has led to mounting human rights violations and risks derailing the country's fragile political transition. According to the Commission, fighting has intensified on a scale not seen since 2017 when a ceasefire was signed. It said that more than 370,000 civilians have been newly displaced by conflict since March 2025, with many fleeing to neighboring countries. It added that 2 million more South Sudanese remain displaced within the country, alongside nearly 600,000 refugees, mostly from Sudan. Yasmin Soka, the chairperson of the commission, blamed political leaders for fueling tensions, saying the crisis will not end unless those responsible are held accountable and justice is endorsed. She said in the statement, and I quote, "The suffering of South Sudan's people is not collateral damage. It is the direct consequence of political failure. Once again, civilians are being bombarded, women are being raped, children are being displaced, forcefully recruited into the combat roles, and entire communities are living in fear. All of this is a tragic repetition of South Sudan's painful past. This war on the people of South Sudan is man-made and preventable. It will end only when political leaders are held to account and justice is no longer optional." End quote. The Commission urged the United Nations, the African Union, and regional partners to take concerted action to address the crisis, which it said is rooted in governance failure and impunity. It's also called for renewed diplomatic engagement to prevent further deterioration, ensure accountability for violations, and expedite the establishment of the hybrid court for South Sudan. You're listening to iRadio News. The Commissioner of Yei River County says agricultural production in the county has improved this year despite insecurity and poor road networks. Commissioner Emmanuel Taban Seme said that despite attacks by armed groups, farmers were able to cultivate on a larger scale than last year. Seme attributed the improvement partly to an early campaign launched by the county administration to increase food production. He said the main crops this year include maize, cassava, sorghum, coffee, peanuts, and a variety of vegetables and fruits.
Early agricultural go farming initiative. So as a result, in comparison with the last year, we have really cultivated a bigger space in terms of land, and we have also harvest. We have a better harvest this year in terms of quantity of what we have produced, and even the varieties of the products. We have maize, we have ginat, and we have sorghum, and then also we have cassava, and then plus any other, yes, there are some other. Also, we have some vegetables, different varieties of vegetables. We have it, and in terms of also cash crop, we have coffee, which it has really yielded this year, and so many. Yeah, but the main products are maize, ginat, sorghum, and then cassava. And also we have sweet potatoes, plus the other, even there's a fruit also.
The commissioner, however, said poor road connectivity makes it difficult for farmers to transport their produce to markets. He added that the county has a plan to rehabilitate roads but lacks the funding to implement it.
We planned, and this year we launched early agricultural go farming initiative. So as a result, in comparison with the last year, we have really cultivated a bigger space in terms of land, and we have also harvest. We have a better harvest this year in terms of quantity of what we have produced, and even the varieties of the product. Mainly, we have maize, we have ginat, and we have sorghum, and then also we have cassava, and then we have some vegetables. Cash crop, we have coffee, which it has really yielded this year, and so many.
Despite the challenges, the commissioner expressed optimism that with improved infrastructure and continued support, agricultural production in Yei River County will continue to grow. You're listening to iRadio News. A religious leader has raised doubts over the successful conduct of South Sudan's election scheduled for December 2026, citing unfulfilled commitments in the peace agreement. Right Reverend Dr. Zakaria Manyok, chairman of the South Sudan Committee at the South Sudan Council of Chairman of the Strategic Committee at the South Sudan Council of Churches, said the peace deal has yet to bring tangible benefits to ordinary citizens. He warned that holding elections without addressing pending peace tasks could trigger renewed violence. Dr. Manyok also questioned the effectiveness of the adjourned Tumaini Peace Initiative, stressing the need for a homegrown process to restore the dignity of South Sudanese people. He stated that peace should not serve politicians or election timelines, but must benefit ordinary citizens. He spoke on iRadio's Dawn Show today.
We had visited Kenya recently to understand the stage where Tumaini is. And we had to call General Sambeyo to talk to us as the South Sudan Council of Churches. And it appears there that there is no hope for Tumaini. And the way we look at things inside South Sudan here, there seems to be no hope for elections even. Of course, the government is talking about elections, but what happens is like what I always hear, that you want to kick a ball and you go and adjust the goalpost in order for you to score. And everybody is adjusting his or her goalpost, and that is still going to be difficult. And we fear that elections may come and they may lead to fighting also. So we want people to understand peace differently. Not peace for election, not peace for political power sharing, but peace for the people.
You're listening to iRadio News. The European Union ambassador to South Sudan says encouraging more women in the aviation sector will help bridge the gender gap, promote equal participation, and create new economic opportunities. Speaking at the 3rd annual conference of the South Sudan Women in Aviation Association, Pele Arnason highlighted the EU's ongoing efforts to make aviation more sustainable, secure, and inclusive. He also noted EU's support in strengthening aviation security in South Sudan, particularly at Juba International Airport, and in developing the country's aviation infrastructure.
Encouraging more women in the aviation sector, in air control, traffic control, in the ground handling, in the pilot's cabin, will not only bridge the currently huge gender gap in this sector, but promote equal participation and create new economic opportunities. Regarding the aviation sector, it is an important global priority for the EU to make the sector more sustainable, secure, and safe, and to reduce aviation emissions. Growth of aviation brings new market opportunities and better connectivity. It also brings high-quality jobs and promotes the tourism sector. The mission assisted and advised South Sudan authorities to establish the Aviation Security Organization at the Ministry of Transport and to strengthen aviation security at Juba International Airport. It trained and mentored security services. To achieve high quality of safety, we need qualified technical personnel and opportunities for capacity building, including for women. Equal opportunities and equal empowerment.
Between 2012 and 2013, the EU conducted a 19-month common security and defense policy operation called the EU Aviation Security Mission. The mission aimed to enhance aviation security and prevent deliberate acts of unlawful interference against airports, aircraft, crew, and passengers. It also trained and mentored security services, providing advice and assistance on aviation security. Meanwhile, the governor of the Central Bank of South Sudan, Addis Ababa, although echoed similar sentiments on gender inclusion, saying there is need to ensure women are not only given opportunities but are also equipped and celebrated in their journey toward transformation.
I reaffirm my personal commitment to ensure that gender inclusion remain the center of any reform agenda. We must not only open the door for women, we must ensure that they are also equipped, supported, and celebrated as they walk through this transformation journey.
You're listening to iRadio News. And lastly, before the international news, the privately owned IE Institute of Health Sciences has been upgraded to full university status by the Ministry of Higher Education, Science and Technology. A ministerial order signed by Madud Biariel, the Minister of Higher Education, elevated and renamed the Juba-based institute into a fully accredited university. The move follows a similar recognition previously granted to Stafford International University. IE University now joins a growing number of private institutions authorized to offer degree-level programs and operate with full university privileges under the oversight of the National Council for Higher Education and the Ministry of Higher Education. In his directive, Minister Yel said IE University met the required benchmarks, including faculty credentials, academic infrastructure, governance arrangements, and alignment with the national higher education standards, paving the way for its elevation. The order also stipulates that the university will admit students under the higher education admission regulations and operate as a full university offering undergraduate program. IE University will offer bachelor's degrees in 4 main courses, including medicine and surgery, pharmacy, medical laboratory science, and public health. You're listening to iRadio News, and now to the regional and international news. Here is Wal Mapal.
To begin our stories this afternoon, let's begin in the neighboring Sudan, where the leader of Sudan's paramilitary rapid support forces has declared an investigation into what he called violations committed by his soldiers during the capture of El Fashir. The announcement by General Mohammed Hamdan Dagalo, known as MT, came after escalating reports of mass civilian killings following the RSF takeover of the city in the Darfur region on Sunday. The UN Security Council is expected to hold a meeting on Sunday, which is in its 3rd year of civil war between the army and the paramilitary fighters. The RSF leader spoke after international outrage about reports of mass killings in El Fashir, apparently documented by his paramilitary fighters in social media videos. Elsewhere, Rob Jett and his centrist Liberal Party D66 are in a neck-and-neck race with anti-Islam popular Geert Wilders in the Dutch election, according to latest vote projections. With about 98% of votes counted, both D66 and Wilders Freedom Party were heading for 26 seats in the 150-member parliament, a projection from Dutch news agency said on Thursday. Initial exit polls had put Jetten in the lead. Millions of Dutch people have turned a page. They have said goodbye to politics of negativity, he told supporters. A downbeat Wilders had hardly considered the result was not what he wanted, having lost 11 seats, but said he had still achieved his second-best result ever. And finally, Hurricane Malaysia has continued its devastating sweep across the Caribbean, destroying homes and infrastructure, flooding neighborhoods, and leaving dozens dead. The impact in Jamaica was clearer on Wednesday after the island nation was hit squarely by the Category 5 storm, one of the most powerful hurricanes ever measured in the region. At least 5 people have been confirmed dead there. At least another 20 died during flooding in Haiti as militia, now a Category 2 storm tore through the region. In Jamaica, people remain stranded on roofs and without power. Prime Minister Andrew Holness noted the total devastation across the island nation. That's all from the regional and international stories. I am Walma Pal, and now over to you, James Atem in the studio.
Thank you, Walma Pal. And now let's go and listen to the sport news with my colleague, Emmanuel Akile.
The South Sudan Premier League returns this week for its sixth round of matches. Today, Wajuma Awil faces Bentiu City in what promises to be a competitive encounter. In the previous round, Bentiu City defeated Hilal Wow 2-1, while Wajuma Awil secured an impressive 3-1 victory over Atlabara Juba. Wajuma Awil currently sits 8th in the league standings with 6 points, whereas Bentiu City is placed 11th with 4 points. The action continues on Friday when Salam Awil takes on Olympic Rang, both teams occupying the 9th and 10th positions respectively. In the second match of the day, Jammus Juba will meet Hilal Wow in another highly anticipated fixture. Elsewhere, Manny Pacquiao says he has almost agreed a rematch with fellow boxing legend Floyd Mayweather. The former multi-weight world champions first met in 2015 in what was billed as the fight of the century. Mayweather won after 12 rounds of unanimous decision, but Pacquiao said he had a shoulder injury and told the BBC in 2018 that he cannot retire with peace of mind with that defeat. The 47-year-old retired in 2021 but returned to face WBC welterweight champion Mario Barrios in his comeback fight in July, with Barrios retaining his title after a majority draw. Mayweather has had a strong off-exhibition bout since retiring with an undefeated record in 2017. And finally, Dallas Mavericks guard Brandon Williams had apologized for being a distraction after he was arrested on a charge of marijuana possession at Dallas Fort Worth Airport on Saturday. Williams missed 2 Dallas games after less than 2 ounces of marijuana, which is illegal for recreational use in the state of Texas, were found in his luggage. That's all from the world of sport.
Thank you, Emmanuel Akile. You're listening to iRadio News, and now to end this bulletin, here are the headlines once again. The Chief of Defense Forces of the South Sudan People's Defense Forces, General Paul Nang, has issued a sweeping set of directives aimed at reforming the army during a Thanksgiving military parade at Bilpam. The UN Human Rights Commission says peace in South Sudan cannot be achieved through words alone, but through accountability, protection of civilians, and reform that prioritize people over power. And the Commissioner of Yei River County says agricultural production in the county has improved this year despite insecurity and poor road networks. That's the end of iRadio News. If there is a story or an event you would like iRadio to cover or report about, please send us a text message on +211 925 287 870. It's also our WhatsApp number. Follow us on X at iRadio Juba, like our Facebook page iRadio, subscribe to our YouTube channel at iRadio South Sudan. You can also visit our website and listen to us online at www.iradio.org. Stay tuned for news in Arabic at half past the hour. I am James Atem. Thanks for listening.